So we move on to our third album, which is Nothing's About to Happen to Me by Mitski. And this was my pick. So, big Mitski fan since getting into Be the Cowboy back in 2018, which, I couldn't tell you if it was the album of the year or whatever. I need to go back to that year to tell you if that was the case. But if not, it's right up there. Absolutely love that one. And ever since I've followed the album she's produced since. And then, afterwards there was Laurel Hell in 2022, which had some good tracks, but was quite a step down, I would say. And then we reviewed on this podcast a few years ago her last album, the name of which escapes me right now. But that
The Land is
inhospitable, and so are we. Yeah. Thanks, Karl. So that one I thought was just a real triumph, and was sort of, taking it from up and down, maybe on the discography trajectory. And yeah, she's gone with the same producer for Nothing's About to Happen to Me. That last album was 32 minutes. This one's 34. I think both of them are 11 songs long as well. So they're certainly not, taking too much of your time. And I feel like this is a very, very solid effort. I think there's so much lush instrumentation across the album. A lot of heartache, which is covered. And from a nice little concept as well, where it's kind of an introverted perspective, and being comfortable in your home and not particularly so comfortable outside of your house, which I think with the amount of fame she's had since My Love Oh My became a TikTok kind of hit, I can fully understand why she would feel way more comfortable at home and away from the spotlight and the outside world. So yeah, it's kind of almost tackling some, mundanities, but doing so in a really grand way. I think probably no better song covering exactly that than Where's My Phone, one of the singles to precede the album. And yeah, certainly got me excited about this one. And then also that White Cat, I feel, is another highlight where really she allows her vocals to really soar and go in different places. There's a really kind of tightly coiled verses, this kind of scratchy guitar which comes through that, which I'm only just thinking about it now, but maybe that's supposed to be a bit of an allegory for a cat scratching. Ultimately I think overall, and if I didn't have her other albums as a benchmark, it is a really, really strong effort. However, we spoke about her last one, The Land is Inhospitable and So Are We. I do feel this is a notable step down from that one. I think the songs are arranged in the same sort of way. They're quite brief. They don't linger too long. And on the last album, I felt like they stuck with you for longer. They were more memorable and grander. I mean, there's a lot of grand instrumentation here, but it's, I'm kind of contradicting myself, but it's also subtle. So it was more subtler on this one. And actually, I think on the last one, that more orchestral kind of output was more to my taste, really. So it's kind of doing the same again in a different way, and sort of loses maybe some of the magic of that last one by doing so. But as a standalone album, like I say, I think this is really another strong one. She continues to be one of the best artists out there for me. Hope she continues producing the goods, essentially, and see whether we'll continue this sort of up and down kind of discography trajectory I've experienced with her since 2018. So there we go. Karl, I mean, what did you make of this one from Mitski?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you based on that review. I mean, for me, I actually thought this was Mitski's most immediate record for me. I mean, all her records up until now, I would like grow to love. Like I remember that last one, it like took me. I was listening to it a few times. It wasn't connected, and then I remember vividly like listening to it. It was like a sunny autumn's day, and I was walking to work, and I had it on then. I was like, all of a sudden, it was there. Whereas this one, by comparison, straight away, I was like all in on it. Had me hooked immediately. And I think the biggest difference for me with this album compared to maybe the last one is that I actually think this one feels more, for me, it feels more fully realized. I think there are moments at times on the last record where the ideas did feel like a little half baked at times and kind of they almost like started getting going and then they would flutter away too quickly. Whereas here, I feel like, that those songs kind of like left you wanting more, but here I feel like they feel more fully realized at times, more complete and refined. And if I read that she like recorded these with like her live band that she was touring with, and I get that sense that she's like worked through these songs and they've helped her like pull the instrumentation together that maybe she didn't have on previous records quite in the same way. So yeah, for me, this was pretty much on par with that last record. I think well crafted from her songwriting, where she talks about, you talked about where is my phone. I love that, just a amusing way of looking at like these everyday anxieties that we may have, and that hilariously dramatic song about the white cat, taking over our house. I think it's just brilliant. And like, yeah, you mentioned the scratchy guitars, but even like the aura of that song, it's almost like a Western like showdown. I was like imagining her like squaring up, squaring up against this cat. But yeah, I just love that song, and yeah, the instrumentation I think just really radiates. As always, she's got that great mix of like bluesy guitars, there's like brass horns, there's those sweeping strings. It's just really cinematic and instantly timeless, like a lot of her music is. But the stars of the show for me are the songs like I'll Change for You, Sharon's Obel, and then Lightning right at the end. I just absolutely adore those tracks. For me, that kind of encapsulates everything that makes this album such a joy to experience. It's just really beautiful musicianship and songcraft. And yeah, Lightning in particular, right at the end, is just such a lovely way to round out this record. It's got those big, like rock guitars midway through, and then the dramatic strings that kind of just sweep in and like take it all away. Yeah, just incredible. So yeah, much like the last one, big fan of this record. And I know on that first year of the pod we had last record quite high up, and I think give me a few more months with this album, and this will probably be right up there again too. So yeah, fantastic.
There we go. And then Xenia, what did you make of this album?
I really enjoyed this album. I thought it was, and I know you mentioned about the tracks being a bit short for you, but I thought those were just really, really tight productions. I mean, maybe also just thinking about the short tracks, just it's a little sort of nod to her Gen Z fan base. The fact that no tracks on the album are longer than 3.5 minutes, just under 4 minutes long, because everyone's sort of like on the TikTok generation. What I really love about Mitski generally is just that it's always just intensely personal and very, very candid, but never in a way that is cliche, always in quite a subtle, and restrained sort of way. And I mean, highlights to me, Where's My Phone? What a tune. I've been listening to that so much. Just sort of this kind of chugging guitar and sort of slightly paranoid energy that's kind of really just kind of gradually unravels as the song goes on. And I don't know if either of you watched the music video, but that is also pretty unhinged, but I was sort of into it, like being a mad woman, and with all these pressures that are, put upon us in this day and age. And just other thing, and just also just, I suppose, like just thinking about her fan base. I mean, like her Wikipedia page, just looking at a Wikipedia page, it's got like, it literally has a section that says views on her fan base and views on the music industry as separate sections in her Wikipedia page. And I'd read a little bit about her fan base before, but sort of like, researching her, I then understood a little bit more reading her interviews that there is a sort of tension there, because her fans are quite intense, and you can really see that in the album. Like that's a track like Instead of Here, we can't help but think of her fan base when she says, I stay as quiet as I can be, I'm not here, I'm where nobody can reach. And in the track Rule as well, where she talks about getting a new haircut and no one will know her, and the sort of and the freedom that comes from being anonymous. And then I think another highlight probably for me is maybe I'll Change for You. I thought that was a really lovely track, because I think what's great about Mitski is her ability to really tap into the zeitgeist of the generation. And I think that's just why Gen Z love her, because this track just sort of rolls along. It sounds quite sweet, but it really kind of captures that sort of hopeless feeling of, not, in yourself, not feeling good enough. And there's a lot about, and today everyone talks about, oh, I'll change for you. Like, oh no, you can't change him. Oh, and she's saying in the song, if you don't like me now, I'll change for you. And it's sort of kind of quiet desperation is just, it's quietly devastating, but I think that really gives it that kind of strong emotional impact, I would say. And then just The White Cat is just completely absurd, but I loved that one as well. Just, giving all your energy up for caring for someone else. So I really enjoyed this. This was an excellent pick, Andrew.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
We liked it more than you did.
No, I did enjoy it. It's like what it reminds me of is when we did like Nilla for Xenia, and like her last album's a great album, but it was always like when it comes off the back of one I've really loved. It's just the drop, basically. But that's like, so Mitski compared against previous Mitski. It's all good. So let's clarify that. And yeah, it's interesting that I think all three of us have picked Where's My Phone and That White Cat as two standouts. And certainly, I'll Change for You, you both mentioned as well. And as you say, just completely, devastating in its candor, basically. So.